What if I told you that the only things you need to heal your chronic pain are a notebook and something to write with? I am fascinated by the breakthroughs that are happening in the world of chronic pain. We're understanding chronic pain in a completely new way through the lens of neuroplasticity. If you've never heard of neuroplastic pain before, it means that the pain is caused by changes in how the brain and the nervous system process signals rather than from actual physical injury or damage. This happens when the brain learns to misinterpret normal signals as pain, often due to things like stress, prior injury, or emotional factors like repressed emotions. The good news is that because the brain is plastic, meaning that it can change or we can rewire our neural pathways, this type of pain can often be unlearned through techniques like mindfulness, therapy, and retraining how we respond to the pain. I experienced chronic pain for over 6 years. The pain began during a particularly stressful period in my life, and I spent years trying to figure out what was the cause. I thought it was a structural issue caused by sleeping on a bad mattress for years or not doing certain exercises like yoga or Pilates. I tried everything I could think of, but my chronic pain only grew stronger, along with my frustration and even at times despair. But I got lucky. I have a friend who also dealt with chronic pain, and she told me that in many cases, chronic pain is actually a manifestation of unprocessed stress, trauma, and painful emotions. My brain was actually trying to protect me from looking too closely at those negative emotions by distracting me with chronic pain in my back, in my hip, and eventually it moved into my legs. I started researching everything I could about neuroplastic pain, including reading books by Dr. John Sarno and my personal favorite, The Way Out by Alan Gordon. Learning about neuroplastic pain and the science behind it was really helpful, but I wasn't someone who could be cured just by gaining this knowledge or even practicing somatic tracking daily, which is something that I continue to do and I recommend. And if you want to check out my somatic tracking meditation, you can do so up here. Don't get me wrong, somatic tracking was incredibly helpful in my journey to heal, and I still use it frequently when I have greater nervous system dysregulation and whenever I feel the need to build a greater sense of safety in my body. But it wasn't until I learned about neuroplastic pain, started practicing somatic tracking, and finally added the missing puzzle piece of journaling about my emotions that I was finally able to turn down the volume on my pain and eventually release it completely. Even when stress and difficult emotions cause me to have the occasional pain flare-up, my first step is to grab a pen and a notebook and to start journaling all about the feelings that I've been holding back. In today's video, I want to share 3 approaches to journaling to help release your chronic pain. These strategies can be used for any type of chronic pain, though if you believe that yours is caused by a structural issue, then you might want to explore some of the recent breakthroughs in neuroplastic pain or give somatic tracking a try to see if your pain symptoms shift or move around or even cause any kind of change in intensity levels, which is a hallmark sign that your pain is neuroplastic. Neuroplastic pain can be healed. This video is for Natalie, who wrote me a comment asking me to make a video about journaling for chronic pain. So if there's a topic that you'd like to see on this channel, please let me know below in the comments. Step number 1, journal about all of your doubts. One thing I've learned from coaching people on reducing and eliminating their chronic pain is that many of us come into this work full of doubts. We've been told by doctors and other medical professionals that there are physical reasons that we're in pain, maybe even abnormalities in our bodies. And people around us might dismiss the idea that pain is caused by unprocessed emotions and is manifested in chronic pain. We might even judge ourselves for thinking that our pain could be neuroplastic, which many people interpret to mean that the pain is all in your head. This is really frustrating because the pain is really real. So you might be avoiding journaling because these doubts often rise to the surface when you think about giving it a try. In this first strategy, we're going to flip that script on its head. So try out setting a timer and journal about every single doubt that comes up for you when you think about your chronic pain, your ability to heal, whether or not pain reprocessing therapy techniques like this or somatic tracking will work for you, and anything else that makes you feel like this process is ridiculous. Get it all out onto the page. In doing so, this practice might bring up some strong emotions. So if you start to feel overwhelmed, take a minute to just notice where you are with your breath, pause, even place a hand over your heart, or you can take a break and ask a loved one for a hug or a cuddle. My personal favorite is to cuddle up with a cat. Celebrate yourself for starting on this journey. And when you feel ready, you can go back to your journaling. You might even take a break and wait until the next day. The most important thing is that you give yourself permission to go at your own pace and know that this work can be challenging, but ultimately rewarding. If you want to journal along with me, grab my free journaling download at the link in the description. It's a guide to everything I'm going to talk about today, including a bunch of questions you can use to prompt your journaling responses. After you finish journaling, find a way to celebrate the work that you've done. It could be a kitchen dance party or even giving yourself a sticker on a chart. Trust me, adults love sticker charts just as much as kindergartners. Strategy number 2, have a conversation with your pain on the page. This was the strategy that I used the most often during my own journey of healing my chronic pain and creating a better relationship to my emotions. And it really helped me in my recovery from a lot of nervous system dysregulation. It's great for processing emotions like shame, grief, loneliness, sadness in all of its forms, because it's a compassionate way to witness those emotions without getting flooded by them. For this strategy, try to find a notebook where you can write on both sides of the page. If you don't have one, just start a new line of writing each time you switch perspectives, like a dialogue in a play. In this journaling practice, you'll play the role of the loving, compassionate witness to your emotions, as well as the person experiencing those emotions and the pain that is associated with them. You can start off by asking yourself some gentle questions such as, what's going on for you right now? Is there anything you'd like to share with me today? Just like in the previous strategy, if big feelings come up for you during this time, recognize that and give yourself permission to take a break if you need to. You can place your hand on your heart and remind yourself that in this moment, you are safe. Allow that loving witness to respond to your emotions with affirmation, like the wisest, kindest, loving witness that you can ever imagine. If no one specific comes to mind, I recommend a self-compassion meditation from Dr. Kristen Neff or a loving kindness meditation from the meditation teacher Sharon Salzberg to borrow some of their energy for your loving witness persona. I'll put a couple of links in the description below for some resources that you might find helpful. This practice gives the part of you in pain permission to express itself fully. There may be some dark and disturbing thoughts, but by playing the loving witness, you allow yourself to go there in a safe way. You can share with your loving witness as much as feels safe, and it's important that you don't push yourself. Journaling for chronic pain relief is like lifting weights at the gym. You can start small and build up your muscles. Don't push yourself too hard. That would be like trying to lift 300-pound dead weights the first day that you enter the gym. Strategy number 3 is called Rage on the Page. If you're anything like me, when you tap into the repressed emotions that are behind your chronic pain, you might find some deep wells of things like anger, resentment, and even rage. This is often the strategy that my clients have the most resistance to because rage is seen as a socially inappropriate emotion, especially for people socialized as women. So women experience the majority of chronic pain and autoimmune issues, and I personally believe that there is a relationship between repressed anger and neuroplastic chronic pain. When we experience emotions like anger or grief over a long period of time without the ability to express them, our nervous system can turn those emotions into physical pain. So if you really want to know how I cured my own chronic pain, it's this. I got in touch with my anger and I gave it a voice on the pages of my journal, which afterward I tore up into a million little pieces and threw away in the trash. Many people worry that in writing out their anger, they're going to unleash a version of themselves that they'll regret. But part of this exercise is building the belief that this practice is healthy, that we are safe, and that we can trust ourselves. This is good for you to do because it has the power to help us to process those big emotions and to eliminate our chronic pain. Notice what happens for you when you are journaling. Does the pain change at all? Does it shift around? Does it intensify or weaken? Does it move to another part of your body? Or does it change its consistency? These are all signs that your pain is neuroplastic and that it is responding to you processing your emotions, which means you can turn down the volume of your pain with this kind of mind-body work. But in learning to process our anger and to let it all out onto the page, we often are allowing that anger to be heard and therefore to dissipate, like other emotion processing that I've talked about in this video. In my own life, I can see that being able to live free from chronic pain actually makes me feel less anger overall. So the anger gets processed and then new anger doesn't build up because I'm giving it a space and giving it a voice while I rage on the page, instead of resenting people around me and having no one to share it with. These are some strategies that you can try if you're curious about journaling to relieve your chronic pain. And the good news is you don't have to do it alone. I work with clients who use my narrative writing protocol to overcome their chronic pain. So if you want to book a free consultation call with me, check out the link in my bio and we can chat about this incredible new arena of research and strategies that cure people of their chronic pain every single day. If that sounds like your cup of tea, I'd love to work with you. Thanks for watching.